2 Human Resource Development definitions of Human Resources Development, HRD. Human resources development refers to the knowledge, skills, efficiency, and physical and mental capacity to perform work, which exist within the people of a country. It includes both the physical and mental qualities of individuals. Human resources are the people involved in various sectors of the economy such as trade, commerce, transport, communication, social services, and development organizations. Human resources improve with age and experience, becoming more valuable over time. It is considered the most crucial productive resource, as it creates significant and long-term benefits for a country. The utilization of a country's resources depends on the availability and development status of its human resources. Therefore, a country's development is directly linked to the quality of its human resources. The technological advancements seen today are the result of continuous human resource development. These human development efforts have been instrumental in raising living standard of people through economic growth. American Society for Training and Development, ASTD, defines HRD is the integrated use of training and development, organizational development, career development, to improve individual, group and organizational effectiveness. HRD is a process to 1. Acquire/sharpen capabilities, 2. Develops general capabilities, 3. Develops an organizational culture. Simply an organized learning experience within a given period of time with the objective of producing the possibility of performance change. Scope of Human Resource Development, HRD. Training is an essential element of HRD. This develops skills and capacity to work at higher levels and positions. Training is possible by different methods. It is useful for self-development and career development. Performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is an important area of HRD. The purpose of performance appraisal is to study critically the performance of an employee and to guide him to improve his performance. This technique is useful for building a team of capable employees and is also used for their self-development. Potential appraisal. It relates to the study of capabilities of employees. It is useful for proper placement and career development of employees. Potential appraisal of employees is useful for developing their special qualities, which can be used fruitfully along with the expansion and diversification of activities of the company. Career planning and development. Under HRD, employees should be given guidance for their self-development and career development. The opportunities likely to develop in the organization should be brought to their notice. They should be motivated for self-development, which is useful to the organization in the long run. Employees' welfare. Employees' welfare is within the scope of HRD. Welfare facilities are useful for creating efficient and satisfied labor force. Such facilities raise the morale of employees. Employee welfare include the provision of medical and recreation facilities, subsidized canteen, free reining and other measures introduced for HRD. Rewards and incentives. HRD includes provision of rewards and incentives to employees to encourage them to learn, to grow, and to develop new qualities, skills and experiences which will be useful in the near future. Reward is an appreciation of good work. It may be in the form of promotion, higher pay, etc. Organizational development. HRD aims at providing conflict-free operations throughout the organization. It also keeps plans ready to deal with problems like absenteeism, turnover, low productivity, or industrial disputes. Quality of work life. Quality of work life depends on sound relations between employer, owner, and employees. A forward-looking policy on employee benefits like job security, attractive pay, participative management and monetary and non-monetary rewards will go a long way in improving the quality of work life. Human Resource Information System. Such system acts as information bank and facilitates human resource planning and development in a proper manner. It facilitates quick decision-making in regard to HRD. Every organization has to introduce such system for ready reference to HRD matters. Objectives/goals of human resources development. To prepare the employees to meet the present and changing future job requirements, to prevent employees' uselessness, to develop creative abilities and talents. To prepare employees for higher level jobs, to ensure smooth and efficient working of the organization, to provide comprehensive framework of HRD to enhance organizational capabilities. Goals must be according to the organization's goals and mission. Importance of HRD. It is an essential component for growth and economic development. It can occur at both the nationwide and the firm-wide level. Resources are efficiently utilized to support HRD when the maximum benefit is created at the lowest possible cost. The difference between two nations largely depends on the level of quality of human resources. Similarly, the difference in the level of performance of two organizations also depends on utilization value of human resources. Likewise, the efficiency of production process and various areas of management depend to a greater extent on the level of human resources development. The vitality of nation and industries depends HR development. HRD plays a significant role in making the human resources useful and purposeful. Concept of human resource development dimensions. The notion of human resource development dimensions is very complicated as it has interconnection with several approaches and is involved in variables of multiple natures. Dimension refer to the constituent elements or characteristics of human resources. It stands for size or number, nature, extent, component, aspect, or characteristics of human or population resources. Different studies identify health, knowledge, participation, and human security as key dimensions of population. These studies emphasize that assessing all these aspects is essential for human development or human resource development, HRD. Management experts often view the components or subsystems of HRD as its dimensions. Some other studies also include performance appraisal, potential appraisal, career planning, training, performance coaching, counseling, career advancement, organizational development, employee welfare, rewards, quality of work life, human resource information system, etc. in the dimension of HRD. Dimension of HRD 1. Equity and equitable access to opportunities. 2. Sustainable development of all the forms of capital, physical, financial and human resources. 3. Better economic efficiency in the form of productivity. 4. Empowerment and capacity building through various means. Therefore, the dimension of human resource development extended to people's physical, spiritual, and other forms of development. At the end we can conclude as, HRD is a complex issue, it has various dimensions and it is both a means and end in itself. It is a crucial factor for overall growth of the country by enabling people to raise their productive efficiencies. Natural resources. Natural resources are elements freely provided by nature. They are found on or beneath the Earth's surface and within the environment. The real benefit of these resources depends on how efficiently and sustainably they are used. They are fundamental to human existence and overall well-being. Our survival depends on the clean air we breathe, the water we drink, and the vegetation that feeds us. Natural resources are used for constructing shelter, generating energy, and meeting other basic needs. They are essential not just for sustaining life but also for promoting human progress and prosperity. According to UN study, natural resource is anything found by man in his natural environment that he may in some way utilize for his own benefit. The natural resource includes rocks which contain minerals, energy sources, other useful products, etc. We simply can say that natural resources include all those free gifts of nature which exploited properly, will yield more to human aims of production, consumption, and more welfare. Any country's economic standard can be determined by the availability of natural resources of that country. The Western countries are rich because they are rich in natural resources. The Gulf countries have excess petroleum product and hence they are rich. Only presence of resources cannot represent the economy but it should be exploited and utilized optimally. Types of natural resources. 1. Renewable resources. These resources are naturally renewable over time through ecological and atmospheric processes, as example, solar energy, wind power, and hydrological sources. 2. Non-renewable resources. These resources are finite and cannot be easily replaced once used, like fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas, and minerals. 3. Biotic resources. These consist of living organisms or biologically derived materials, including forests, wildlife, and marine biodiversity. 4. Abiotic resources. These are non-living components of the environment, like air, water, soil, and minerals. Importance of natural resources. 1. Natural capital. According to the World Forum on Natural Capital refers to the global reserve of natural resources, including vital assets such as soil, water, air, and all living organisms. These resources serve as the foundation of life, offering essential materials and services freely provided by nature. The availability and contribution of natural capital highlight a fundamental importance of natural resources in sustaining ecosystems and human well-being. 2. Source of energy. One of the most prominent roles of natural resources is their function as sources of energy. Various forms of natural resources such as solar radiation, wind, geothermal heat, water, tidal forces, fossil fuels, petroleum, and natural gas are harnessed to generate energy. This energy is essential for powering industries, transportation, and daily human activities. In fact, nearly all of the energy consumed globally is derived from natural resources, underscoring their critical importance to modern civilization and economic development. 3. Source of food. Humans, animals, and plants depend solely on natural resources for food. These food sources are plants, aquatic beings, and other animals. All classes of food nutrients needed by man are provided by nature. 4. Source of raw materials for industries. Every industry in the world depends on natural resources for the acquisition of raw materials. A popular example is the petroleum industry that derives its raw material, crude oil, from reservoirs of long deposited fossils. Another example is the textile industry, construction industry, power sector, and food industries utilize Natural resources such as hide and skin, natural fibers, minerals, solar radiation, plants, and animals for production. 5. Medicinal value. Herbs are used in their raw or modified forms in the medical field to cure ailments and diseases. Over 80% of the world's population depends on plants for medicine. Products extracted from fungi, bacteria, plants, and viruses are used as vaccines against certain diseases. 6. Serves as basis for further scientific studies. The existence of natural resources in the environment has inspired and still inspires so many enthusiastic scientists to go into further study and make products that have benefited the whole of mankind and sometimes the world at large. This includes petroleum, turned into a popular source of energy through scientific research, cotton, which now serves as the most popular raw material for cloth production. With all these values, the importance of natural resources can't be overemphasized. 7. Shelter. Provision of shelter is one of the most popular importance of natural resources. Nearly standing structures today couldn't have been built without natural resources. Timber from trees, cement from limestone, sand and gravel, mud, bamboo sticks, metals from ores are all materials used for the construction of shelter, which are all derived from the earth's stock of resources. 8. Employment opportunities. Stages involved in the development of natural resources from raw form to finished products account for well over 80% of the total workforce in the world. For instance, crude oil exploration and processing involve the following processes: site mapping, the discovery of deposits, test drilling, tank constructions, and pipe laying, refinery building, maintenance, and refining. All to name but a few, which provides millions of jobs globally. 9. National development. For countries that properly manage their natural resources, these resources have contributed greatly to their gross domestic product. Sadly, it is ironic that countries with the most abundant resources are underdeveloped. This can be attributed to the high levels of corruption, extortion, and poor governance that accompany resource wealth. Natural resources have contributed greatly to the development of most countries in the world. In some countries of the world, natural resources account for over 90% of their revenue. 10. Ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are benefits derived from nature and the environment and contribute much to the importance of natural resources in the environment, such as water cycle, soil formation, photosynthesis, pollination, climate regulation, and water purification. Role of natural resources in economic development. An abundance of natural resources in a country means that development will come a lot easier to that country than to one where there isn't much natural resource available. There is a positive relationship between natural resources and economic development. They do play the following important roles in the economic development of a country. 1. Increases national income. 2. Boost to production. 3. Increase per capita income. 4. Reduces poverty. 5. Expands employment opportunity. 6. Improve foreign trade. 7. Encourage the establishment of big industries. 8. Sufficient supply of raw materials. 9. It enlarges the market structure. In most countries, the contribution of natural capital in development is more than produced capital. Hence, natural resource management is a key aspect of economic development. When the commodity prices are high at that time, the activities of excess demand can be down by selling natural resources. Natural resources serve as the backbone of rural economies, particularly in low and middle income countries. When managed through effective policies and transparent, accountable institutions, these resources have the potential to significantly strengthen and advance economic development, fostering long-term sustainability and improved livelihoods. More employment opportunities are possible in renewable energy sector. Renewable energy jobs saw their largest increase in 2023, according to a recent report by the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, and the International Labour Organization, ILO. Employment in the sector grew from 13.7 million in 2022 to 16.2 million, marking an 18% annual rise. The Renewable Energy Institute, 2025. Approximately 33 million people globally were employed in the forest sector between 2017 and 2019, accounting for about 1% of total employment across all economic activities. According to the International Labour Organization, ILO, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. According to ILO report, 24 million new jobs will be created globally by 2030 if the right policies to promote a greener economy. However, the trend of exploitation of natural resources is basic in the contribution of natural resources in economic development. The proper utilization of natural resources is necessary for desired growth and development. How an economy can get utilization of available natural resources can be shown in the following diagram. Natural resources proper strategic management 1. Appropriate planning 2. Accountable institution 3. Human resource management 4. Cost-benefit analysis. Desired economic growth, basic process. The influence and relative significance of natural resources in driving economic development in developing economies is substantial. Nations rich in natural assets often experience accelerated growth due to the strategic utilization of these resources. For instance, North America, the Gulf countries, and Brazil exemplify how abundant natural resources ranging from oil and gas to minerals and fertile land can play a pivotal role in shaping economic progress and national prosperity. An adequate supply of natural resources is a fundamental prerequisite for the sustainable development of developing nations. Emphasis must be placed on the efficient and responsible management of resource exploitation, prioritizing those with the highest potential for long-term social value. It is essential to balance current use with the conservation of natural capital to ensure environmental health, sustained economic growth, and the well-being of future generations. HRD. The achievement of sustained and equitable development remains the greatest challenge facing the human race. Despite good progress over the past generation, more than 1 billion people still live in acute poverty and suffer grossly inadequate access to the resources, education, health services, infrastructure, land, and credit required to give them a chance at a better life. The essential task of development is to provide opportunities so that these people and hundreds of millions not much better off, can reach their potential. World Bank, 1992. The world has progressed in many unique ways and directions in the last 3 decades. It has developed technologically, economically, and industrially. It is also richer in terms of human capabilities, facilities, and quality of living. Improvements in education, communication, technology, and markets have made the world a global village. People live longer today, are better informed, can communicate with one another across the world and therefore carry on economic, professional, educational, social, and other activities with ease. These decades of development indicate the vast potential for creating a world of order, security, and well-being. The developments of the last 3 decades also indicate that while remarkable progress has been made in a number of directions, the fruits of development have not benefited the world's growing number of poor people. And where some benefits have reached the poor, new problems are appearing in the form of deteriorating social fabric and environmental degradation. The world has progressed in many unique ways and directions in the last 3 decades. It has developed technologically, economically, and industrially. It is also richer in terms of human capabilities, facilities, and quality of living. Improvements in education, communication, technology, and markets have made the world a global village. People live longer today, are better informed, can communicate with one another across the world and therefore carry on economic, professional, educational, social, and other activities with ease. These decades of development indicate the vast potential for creating a world of order, security, and well-being. The developments of the last 3 decades also indicate that while remarkable progress has been made in a number of directions, the fruits of development have not benefited the world's growing number of poor people. And where some benefits have reached the poor, new problems are appearing in the form of deteriorating social fabric and environmental degradation. The world faces 2 major development challenges. The first is to ensure that the fruits of development reach the neediest through equitable distribution of resources, opportunities, and benefits. The second is to develop human capabilities and address the challenges of development, political, economic, and social. The few countries that have been able to meet both these challenges have demonstrated the importance of investing in developing people and improving the quality of their life through the adoption of human resource development strategies. Concept and need for human resource development. Today, there is practically no government or international agency that does not see the importance of human resource development. The World Bank, the United Nations and its constituent bodies include UNDP, UNIDO, WHO, ILO, UNICEF, UNESCO, UNFPA, UNESCAP, regional bodies like ASEAN and SAARC, the South Commission, the Commonwealth Secretariat, international non-government organizations, NGOs, and bilateral aid agencies, all recognize the need for, and the importance of, human resource development. The components and dimensions of human resource development which they perceive as being of strategic importance at a given point of time, for a given country or a group of countries, may vary. But the focus is uniform. The context for the renewed emphasis on human resource development is significant. The structural adjustments programmers adopted in a number of countries have brought home the vulnerability of human development variables. The linkages between investments in human development programs and economic development have become sharper. There have been major international developments such as the opening of global markets, the increased market orientation of economies and the restructuring in socialist countries which have given rise to increased competition, forcing developing countries to produce and market quality products at competitive prices. At the same time, a range of concerns, including environmental issues, the changing role of women, the new information culture and demands for liberalization and democracy, are influencing policy and practice. The knowledge base surrounding human resource development is increasing rapidly within government and agencies. It is an area where there are many pressing demands. These demands have to be balanced. Resources have to be found, frontiers agreed upon, and strategies formulated. These are issues with which policymakers, planners, decision-makers, sectoral planners, and government managers have to contend. This course attempts to provide insights into the strategic importance of investments in developing people, methods of doing the same. Strategic choices that need to be made in developing people in terms of the categories of people to be targeted. Processes that could be used for effective implementation of human resource development policies and programs, and the sectoral points of attention which are critical for development. The course focuses particularly on developing countries and their human resource development goals, policies, and implementation strategies. In doing so, it gives particular attention to both the question of developing human competencies for economic and technological development and to the issue of equitable distribution of resources, opportunities, and benefits to improve the quality of life. The course thus sees human resource development as both a means and an end itself. Competencies and benefits. Competencies may include knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. The competencies also may deal with any field. Agriculture, industry, science, technology, management, various professions, like medicine, law, engineering, and teaching, politics, public administration, home science, cooking, labor, telecommunications, research, and tourism. The capabilities may be developed in individuals, communities, or collectives. The competencies may be simple, like learning the alphabet, or complex, involving high technology applications relating to medicine, space, telecommunications, defense, environment, etc. The competencies so developed could enable people to act and improve their own lives and those of others. Through such an enabling process, people can create more alternatives for themselves and others and increase their choices. The above definition also emphasizes the purpose of HRD as benefiting people, the individual, group, or the community of which the individual is a member. Such benefits may be in terms of basic needs and welfare, including a decent living or high-level comforts, leisure, and self-actualizing opportunities. The individual or the group should perceive these benefits as benefits. Thus, increased income or purchasing power may be a benefit for some, while freedom to choose one's representative in the political system and freedom of expression may be benefits for others. Thus, what is beneficial depends on the time, group, and other circumstances, and may keep changing. Human development and human resource development. Some agencies and individual writers have made a distinction between human resource development and human development. For some, human development is a much larger and all-encompassing concept. While HRD is limited to the skill development and knowledge acquisitions often demanded by organizations for employment purposes. They take a limited view of HRD and attribute it as relevant to personnel management practices of the organized sector. Such a distinction, however, is slowly disappearing with the realization that the broadness and all-inclusive nature of the concept of HRD depend on the context in which it is used. For example, it may have somewhat restricted meaning when used in an organizational context. Though even in an organizational context there is evidence of it being used in the same sense as human development, Silvera, 1990, Parikh and Rao, 1981. However, there seems to be a convergence of the needs and priorities set out by various national governments, international agencies, and experts in this area. Whether they use the term human development or human resource development. The main objection raised by a few to the term human resource development is that it is a narrower concept and it connotes more skill development. Another objection, rather a mild one, is that the word resource somehow seems to imply that human beings are treated like material and other resources and as instruments of development rather than the beneficiaries of development. The differences are more linguistic than conceptual and seem to depend more on the region or affiliation. Thus those associated with the UNESCAP, ILO, CIDA, Commonwealth Secretariat and other agencies seem to prefer the term human resource development and the UNDP prefers human development. In the recent past, even UNDP has indicated a broad meaning it is giving to the term HRD within the context of human development. It defines HRD as referring to those policies and programs that support and sustain equitable opportunities for continuing acquisition and application of skills, knowledge and competencies which promote individual autonomy and are mutually beneficial to individuals, the community, and the larger environment of which they are a part. UNDP, BPPE, 1991, p.19. Dimension of human development. Implied in the above conceptualization of HRD are the main facets of development of people, including their physical, intellectual, emotional, social, moral, political, spiritual, and all other forms of development. People cannot function or make things happen unless they are physically well developed, healthy, and free from disease. Thus food, nutrition, and freedom from disease become important. People need to earn their food and living by working for it. They need to engage themselves in productive activities for which again a combination of both physical development and intellectual development is important. Intellectual development comes through the process of education and socialization. Social development involves developing the ability to live as a member of the society or a group and contribute to it, at the same time deriving benefits from it. The need for the coexistence of all human beings makes this development imperative. Political development ensures human dignity through freedom of expression, democratic participation, and an opportunity to influence things that in turn influence the individuals living. Moral and spiritual development is required to bring order, discipline, and peace into life and ensure that one person's comfort does not become his neighbor's poison. Thus all forms of development of people can be included in the definition of HRD. The form of HRD is as below: quantitative, qualitative dimension, mental and physical dimension. Positive and negative dimension. Various approaches to HRD: spatial and temporal approach, age composition approach, gender approach, social group approach, educational approach, occupational approach. Composite score approach. Targets of development. Such a definition of HRD implies that people may be developed individually, or as groups, or as communities and collectives. When an individual acquires capabilities, they enable the individual to make things happen. However, societies are much more than individuals. They are required to function as groups, and for historic reasons they may also be grouped into collectives. For example, the poor or the landless are a collective of people who are poor and without land. Some of them may organize themselves to form action groups. Human resource development also looks at the process of developing such groups and collectives to function better or transform themselves by acquiring new competencies. Although such competencies are acquired by individuals, there are competencies which apply only to a group. For example, the ability of a group to ensure that credit is available to its members from a rural bank and that the individuals repay the loan as per the understanding. Thus HRD focuses not only on the development of individuals but also on the collectives. The target groups for development can be many. Doctors, politicians, businessmen, civil servants, field workers, teachers, voluntary workers, rural leaders, farmers, unemployed youth, scientists, engineers, slum dwellers, children, girls, illiterates, women, labor, skilled and unskilled, primary school goers, university students, etc. The target groups can be classified on the basis of their age, sex, current socio-economic status, past deprivation, profession, occupation, etc. Some of these groups have well-developed HRD systems or mechanisms that are already in operation as a part of their respective sectors and/or government intervention. The teachers in most countries, for example, have a good system of preparing themselves for their roles and continuously updating their competencies. So are the other professionals like doctors and managers. Their efficiency and effectiveness could be improved through sectoral interventions, as well stabilized sectoral institutions. Departments and/or ministries exist to ensure their development and bring it in line with the needs of the country. Some of the groups in a country have a strategic significance due to the multiplier effect their development has on others. Women and girls form one such group which is important because of the multiplier effect they have on the development of others through families. Women and girls have been found to influence the education and the well-being of the entire family. Groups which have been deprived for a long time due to external factors are another important group for equity considerations. Similarly, unemployed youth and the poor also are important target groups, the youth, for the role they play in building the future of any nation, and the poor, for the impact they can have on the economy once they develop. Besides equity consideration, development of the poor becomes a critical step for ensuring a sound economic development. In summary, HRD should be treated as an integrated concept. It deals with the development of all people and is not limited to any one section or sector. It is important and equally critical for all sectors wherever people are involved and are required to make things happen. It is needed for all groups, but particularly the underprivileged. It is needed for the unemployed, underemployed, the employed and the self-employed. It is needed by the politicians, bureaucrats, and intellectuals to play their roles better and more effectively. It is needed for running the governments effectively, for improving the effectiveness of various agencies and their services. It is needed for NGOs to be effective and play a strategic role. It is needed for mobilizing resources, community participation, and involvement. It is needed for ensuring economic, scientific, and technological development of nations. It is needed to ensure that people leave a healthy place of living for future generations.